What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. First thing I wanted to talk about was, of course, you guys have probably noticed, it's in the title. We rebranded, and so it's no longer Taylor Wing, boring and old, in with the new, Broke Boy Real Estate. And the reason why I wanted to change the name of the channel is just because Broke Boy Real Estate just kind of embraces what I want this channel to represent. And that is investing on a budget. This is for all the everyday average Americans, working 9 to 5s. And we're just trying to expand our wealth. We're trying to obtain more monthly income and build our own empires. I just want to send the message that you don't need money to do this. You can start now and you can provide a better life for yourself and for your family. And like I said, my journey is also in progress, so you're following mine. My empire is building. And now I just want to get you guys on the same train I'm on. And so that leads us into today's content. And today I'm going to talk about seller financing and subject to deals. Very excited because both of these provide a lot of opportunities to invest with little to no money down. All right, kicking off here with seller financing. And just like what the title says, with seller financing, you're financing the property purchase through the seller. So you're avoiding the banks and the loan process altogether, which is absolutely beautiful because, for one, it costs more money to go through the banks. You're going to get your credit pulled. You're going to have to probably put 20% down, and you're going to pay a lot more in fees. With seller financing, you can avoid all of that because you're just going directly to the seller and financing through them. So I like to use this strategy when the seller owns the property outright. If they own the property outright free and clear, I like to say, hey, I like to come to them and pitch the idea and say, hey, let's seller finance this thing. And the beautiful thing about seller financing is that you can structure the deal literally with any terms that you want. And so what I like to do is, since I like to put as little money down as possible, is I like to say, hey, will you accept 10% down, 5% down, maybe even 0% down if you can pitch it. And then you can stretch out the payments for as long as you want to. You want it on a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 30-year, whatever, however long you want to make this payment, you're able to do that. Like I said, seller financing, the sky is the limit here. All right, now what I want to do is show you an example of a seller financing deal that I'm negotiating right now. And this one's not set in stone, so it's yet to be approved. But I'll show you the numbers here. Basically, the guy owns his property outright. And so I'm pitching the idea of, hey, because the seller's acting as the bank in this transaction. So I'm like, hey, I will pay you $100,000, that full amount you wanted, but over a 15-year mortgage, basically. So I would pay him every month for 15 years until I pay off that amount of the full 100K, which equates to about $556 roughly. So I'll show you the numbers in this Excel spreadsheet. All right, check it out. This is the offer that I submitted for a seller finance deal. And so here's the story. This gentleman owns the property outright, and it's kind of just sitting there. He, I guess, belonged to his mother, and he moved her out into a retirement home. And so now the house is just sitting there, and he just is looking for some way to make some cash off this. And so I pitched him a seller finance deal. I said, look, I will buy this property for the full $100,000 that you're looking for, but under my terms. I said, if you can give me a 15-year amortization period, 0 interest, and 0 down, I will provide a steady stream of cash flow for you. And so here's the offer I submitted. Just checking it out here by the numbers. Purchase price was $100,000, so I offered him full price that he wanted. Of course, I put 0% because I'm putting nothing down, and this is a deal I wanted to structure with him. I wanted to see if I can buy a property with literally no money down. So here's my little experiment. Of course, whenever you do closing, you have associated closing costs, so I attributed maybe about $1,200 for closing costs. And rehab already walked the property. I could maximize the rents and put about $15K into it, but I really don't want to spend that much money up front, so
I think I'm going to rent it for less and put in less money, just enough money to kind of get it rentable in a rentable condition. Not exactly like a full new flip, but enough to just get it rented. So then my total cash outlay in this case would be $6,200 to buy this property. I think it'll rent for $1,000 as it is. Anticipate 5% vacancy. So a total effective gross rent of $950 here. Now, of course, you have the operating expenses, and since this is just an offer, these are rough numbers. These are not exact numbers, but it'll just kind of give me an idea of what things might cost in this case. So there's the 10% property manage, about $44 for insurance, 10% for repairs, and then lastly 1.2% for property taxes, which brings my total operating expenses to this $334. And then you get your $950 minus your $334. The total net operating income is the $616. And now here's the mortgage payment, which is kind of what makes it interesting, because like I said, I don't want to pay any interest, 0% interest for 15 years. So I'd pay this guy $556 every month for 15 years, and then hence pay off the $100K. So $60 a month after all that. Not fantastic, right? Really not exciting at all, which brings me to $720 annual. But if you look at my investment return summary here, I'm still getting almost a 12% cash on cash investment return here. And if you include the mortgage pay down, amortization plus cash on cash, it's over 100% return on my investment. Because look, if I make $720 a year, I really only put down about $6,000. So I get my whole entire return on investment back within, about 6 years time. And that's crazy, right? And I put literally hardly anything down. Zero interest. Like, it's hard to beat this type of deal.
And that's pretty much seller financing in a nutshell. Like I said, it's absolutely beautiful because how flexible it is. You can structure the deal to fit your current financial situation. So like for me, broke boy style, I don't have that much money to put up front. So I try to structure deals with little, maybe even 0% down, and I'd rather finance that over a period of time and pay a lower interest rate if I can. Or if you want, you can pay all in cash up front too. Totally up to your financial situation. So that's it in a nutshell. So now I'm going to touch on the concept of the subject to. And a sub to, that's just short for subject to the pre-existing mortgage. So basically you're buying the property with the existing mortgage in place. So you're kind of just taking over the payments. It's still a mortgage underneath the seller's name. You're just going to be like a third party authorized on the account that's going to be making payments on their behalf, which is freaking awesome because the loan's not even in your name. So it makes it so much easier. You don't have to go through that whole entire process of getting your credit pulled, getting a loan, putting 20% down. You're literally just kind of assuming loan payments from the seller and keeping the loan in their name, so that frees up your own Fannie Freddie Mae loans to buy other properties as well if you want. And so I just completed one of these deals, and I'm going to show you the numbers and show you like just how profitable these deals are if you can find them.
Subject to that I recently closed on, and I'm super excited to show you the numbers on this one because it's kind of badass, not going to lie. So subject to, so I bought this one subject to the pre-existing mortgage, and this house is valued at around $100,000 as well. So of course the purchase price, it's blank because I'm not purchasing it really, I'm just assuming their mortgage. So scrolling down, basically putting nothing down, right? This is what I paid, and this is a combination of closing costs, and I threw some cash to the seller just to make him happy. So basically just said, hey, here's some money to compensate you just as a thank you, and I will now take the deed and also assume your mortgage. So all in all, to close on this, I paid about a little shy of $6,000 in order to close on this property. And I haven't been able to get into the property yet because I'm in the process of moving out the current tenant. The reason why he sold it is because the current tenant was not paying rent. And so now I took the property from him, I purchased the property from him, and it's my job to move out the tenant that's not paying rent and move in a new tenant that will actually pay the rent. And so this is blank for now. So these numbers are slightly inflated because there will be some kind of rehab budget. Just from looking at the property, though, it's going to be less than $10,000, but you never know what you're walking into sometimes. So right now, total cash outlay is about $5,900. And again, this one will rent for $1,000 here, 5% vacancy, I assumed. Standard 10% management fee, another standard 10% for maintenance. I did not include insurance and taxes because that is escrowed into the mortgage here. So the total operating income is the $760 minus the $608 that I now pay every month, which gives me about $150 I make a month. So just shy of $2,000 I'm making a year off this property. And also some pretty sick numbers here. Total cash on cash return on this one will be about 31%. And year one cash on cash, plus the mortgage pay down amortization, I'm at 155% total return here. I know, right? Mind-blowing numbers here. And like I said, these numbers also might be slightly inflated because I have not been able to get into the property and account for the possible rehab that will be needed in order to rent this out. Also, take into account that I do have to carry the mortgage for at least a month or two to evict the tenant and place a new one. So the $608 monthly payment I will have to front on my own for now until that I can get a tenant that'll pay the rent. And until then, no cash, but and I anticipate in about a month or two that I will be making money and have a tenant in there. So again, 31% cash on cash here and 155% year one return. Only putting just shy of $6,000 into this deal. Like I said, subject to, man, like you can pick up some awesome deals with minimal cash down.
And that's pretty much subject to in a nutshell. Like I said, it's freaking awesome because you just pick up, where the seller left off on their payments. And so if they've already paid 50% of equity into the property, you assume all that equity. And once it's paid off, the deed's already in your name. You just have to pay off whatever mortgage is left in place. So it's ultra powerful, and you can, like I said, pick up instant equity and sweet deals with these subject twos. But one of the biggest stipulations is the possibility of the mortgage provider calling the note due. Because technically, if the property were to change ownership, the mortgage provider could call the note due. So let's say, for example, the house cost $100,000 and there's $50,000 left on the mortgage. If they were to call the note due, that means immediately that $50,000 remaining balance would be due. And so some people worry that, if the lender finds out that the property switched ownership, they're going to call the note due. But from a lot of other people I've talked to, this rarely happens. Actually, it pretty much never happens because the mortgage provider is satisfied. As long as the payments are being paid and on time, they don't care who the property belongs to. Just make sure you pay it on time. And they will not call that note due. They won't foreclose on the property. So I just wanted to cover that little stipulation real quickly because people do worry about that. And that's pretty much seller financing and subject to summed up. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the box. Hit me in the DMs. Would love to answer all your questions. And I just can't emphasize enough how powerful seller financing and subject to deals are, because you can truly step into some deals with little money down and make a lot of good money. And so just want to emphasize how powerful they are. Definitely look for those deals if you can. And then also I want some feedback. What do you guys think about the new name? What do you think about the message, what we're trying to represent here? Just would love to hear what you guys have to say about that. And so again, just hit me up And that's it for this week. So thanks, guys. Till next time.